Next up on WTV, a recap of yesterday's board meeting, question and answer with Officer Hubbard and Mr. Harris, and a preview of tonight's volleyball game. WTV's Daily Update starts now. Good morning, Red Hawk Nation. Today is Tuesday, August 21st, and I'm Wade Glover with another daily update brought to you by Wingspan TV. The school board held a special meeting last night to decide whether to call for a tax bond swap election. WTV's Kennedy Williams has the recap.
Frisco ISD held a public school board meeting Monday to discuss proposed changes in their property tax rates and ultimately approved a tax swap. This move triggers a tax ratification election, or TRE, which would raise taxpayers' rates by 13 cents for maintenance and operation of existing FISD facilities. However, the board has proposed a 15-cent decrease in tax rates for renovations and the building of new facilities, also known as a bond election. This turnaround would ultimately have homeowners seeing a 2-cent decrease for taxpayers from a rate of $1.46 per $100 to a rate of $1.44 per $100. A number of Frisco citizens, teachers, and students addressed their concerns regarding the tax swap.
My wife and I have been involved in city and school finance issues for a number of years. And one of the things that we have consistently identified is that it is very difficult to oppose or have a disagreement about school finance with the board without being labeled anti-kids or anti-schools or anti-public schools. You can oppose a financial issue or a policy issue without hating kids, without hating schools. And it is a false narrative for anybody in the city to use the phrase that, well, you hate kids or something because you disagree. We need to get beyond that narrative because that is just flat out not true.
Those against the philosophy of citizens like Fabry argued that the personalized needs of Frisco's teachers and students needs to be recognized and addressed.
So I wanted to bring up the point that the difference between 25 and a class of 30 has to do with logistics and time management and discipline. And we all know, because you guys have been in those classes of 30 and more, that it's really hard to get the individual attention that you need from the teacher. Technology doesn't always work in sets of 30, and that class sizes of 20 to 25 really works much better for you guys and your learning. I would like them to really come into the schools and really come into our classrooms and see what it's all about. It's kind of hard to see on the outside looking in.
No official changes have been enacted yet. The board's decision only means that citizens will now have the option to vote for or against these proposals on November 6th. The tax swap money would fund millions of dollars towards building smaller classes, more feasible teacher compensation, among other things. The bond proposition would go towards the development of new facilities and renovations, including a district-wide fine arts facility and new playground surfaces for elementary schools. Reporting for WTV, I'm Kennedy Williams.
Last Friday in homeroom, students were supposed to watch an active shooter Q&A with School Resource Officer Glenn Hubbard and Assistant Principal Jason Harris. Due to a technology issue, many students were not able to view this Q&A.
Well, we sit down and we have a safety committee, and we also involve, of course, our school resource officer, and we review what we call the crisis management plan. And of course, this is not something we make up from the hip. We have what's called the National Incident Management System, which comes from the Department of Homeland Defense. So we developed that, and it tells us a step-by-step on what to do in particular situations, such as a fire drill, such as an active shooter.
And as far as the police side of it, we go through intensive active shooter training, which will involve the fire department, us, and surrounding agencies if needed. It's ongoing training. It's always being updated, so everybody's on the same page.
You need to find the closest open door and get in that classroom. Even if you don't see any doors open, then you need to go to the nearest restroom. And the best thing to do is just to get in the stall and stay there until we come out of lockdown, until it's safe to come out. because once the doors are closed and locked, teachers are not allowed to open the doors. We cannot open those doors because we don't know who the intruder is. So for the safety of the rest of the class that's already in there, then they're not going to open that door. So that's the thing you do during class time. If it's during transition time, or before school, after school, or during lunch, it's a difficult situation. If there's not a big crowd, Dr. Grossman, he is an expert in killology, and he goes into a lot of schools. His advice, if it's not a big crowd, you start just swerving, zigzagging, going back and forth and just running and getting out of the way. His advice, if there's a huge crowd and you're going to be bottlenecked, you need to charge the shooter.
And as far as barricading the door, yeah, that'd probably be a really good idea. Make it as difficult as possible for anybody to get in there. Any sort of barricade, any sort of preparations to prevent entry is great. If you're stuck in the hallways, find someplace to hide or get out of the school. It's going to be pretty obvious where the danger is coming from. Well, it's pretty easy. You're minimizing the amount of targets. You're putting people in safe places. If the shooter can't see you, he can't shoot you. And then they just keep moving on. And that also gives first responders additional time to get there.
When you see kids, knocking at the doors to allow you in so they can take the shortcut. If you don't know that kid, you don't know if they're a student here. And I'm telling you, from experience, that there are kids that will enter our campus that don't belong here. So you're putting, it's putting our school at risk. I'm prior military. Officer Hubbard's prior military, and he's a police officer right now. And I'll be the first to tell you, the more you train on something, the easier it's going to come for you in the event that it actually happens. So if you take it serious and we continue to do these lockdown drills and so forth, your mind's going to be ready to do what you've been trained to do. And if you haven't taken it serious and you haven't done these drills, then you're not going to know what to do, and the drill will not, or if it does happen, a crisis does happen, then you're not going to react the way you should react in a situation like that.
I believe there's talk regarding it with the recent shootings and things like that. Everybody's discussing how they can do things better.
Emergency operation procedures, we're currently, our school safety committee is revisiting that. So what we're doing right now, we're identifying the hazards of this school. Have they changed? Are they the same? And then once we identify those hazards, we're going to sit down and collaborate and see what solutions we can come up with to increase the safety of the school.
There's multiple ways of doing that. Your teachers, your administration, me, you can call me, email me, you can go through the PD. The police department has an app that has every officer's name in here as far as school resource officers. You can do anonymous tips and it comes right to me. So you don't have to worry about anybody knowing who you are. You can get the reports, you can see what the updates are and things like that, and it's really quick. I mean, you may be sitting right there in the cafeteria or somewhere and you see something going on, send it. We'll check it out right away, because time is of the essence of most of these things.
You guys get more information than we do, because you guys are out there. You're with your peers. You know what's going on, and so you guys have to communicate with us. Without you, we wouldn't be able, I'll be honest, we wouldn't be able to keep the school safe. I mean, information we get from you guys is valuable. I mean, it's helped us in many situations.
Oh, yeah. We've gotten weapons, drugs, just because kids cared and brought that information forward. The kids are the information system of the school. Don't hesitate to forward some of that stuff if you think it's going to affect somebody else.
You know, one thing that I was really impressed with when I first came here was the safety. The number of cameras that we have here, the ability to go back and get video footage. The perimeter, it's clear. I mean, you can see things, people, things coming. But overall, I would have to say, this is the safest school that I've been associated with.
Having an officer in the school that has a direct link to the fire department, direct link to the police department, knowing how many police officers are patrolling all the time, knowing the systems we have in place, knowing that the officers on patrol everywhere have access to the camera system, so they know there won't be any, well, we don't really know where he is. We'll have a general idea real fast. But I think here in Frisco we do a really good job. We haven't had any incidents like this, knock on wood, but I think we're prepared for it as best we can. We can always improve, but they're giving us the resources to do it, I know that.
Volleyball starts their season with a bang tonight against Wakeland, who could be their stiffest competition this season. WTV Sports takes a look at how this game could go.
Despite being just the fourth day of school, the volleyball squad begins its district schedule tonight against Wakeland. The team's non-district campaign concluded with a 12-7 overall record, including reaching a third-place ranking in last week's 5A Girls Coaches Association poll. The team's hopes of a district championship, however, must first go through Wakeland. The 17-2 Wolverines, currently ranked number 2 in this week's poll, looks to be the team to beat in District 9 5A. Last year, the volleyball team split the series with Wakeland, falling 3-2 in the opener and defeating the Wolverines 3-1 in the second half of district play. The action starts at 6:30 tonight at Wakeland. For Wingspan TV, I'm Carter Brock.
If you're looking for more from Wingspan, you can follow us at Liberty Wingspan on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or visit our award-winning website, libertywingspan.com. Please stay tuned for today's announcements. Homecoming court nominations can be submitted by going to the link below. Homecoming tickets are now available for purchase on MyPayments Plus. If you have an announcement for the WTV Daily Update, ask your club sponsor to email libertywingspanstaff@gmail.com. That's it for today's Daily Update. This has been Wade Glover for Wingspan.